In this episode of Now You're Talking, I sit down with Gina Vennard, a compassionate and observant special education assistant, for a heartfelt conversation about the growing impact of screen time on children's emotional, social, and educational development. Gina shares her frontline insights on rising anxiety in students, the decline in self-soothing and social skills, and the critical importance of physical play and face-to-face connection. With schools now banning phones to encourage more interaction, Gina also emphasizes the role of parents in setting screen boundaries and modeling mindful digital habits at home. Beyond the classroom, Gina and I explore how technology is reshaping family life and the need to be fully present. We reflect on generational wisdom, the power of storytelling, and the simple joys of shared meals and laughter. Through memories of loss, moments of growth, and conversations that matter, this episode invites us to lead with compassion, create lasting memories, and rediscover what truly connects us, one real conversation at a time. Let the conversations begin. So, Gina, nice to meet you,
Nice
and
to meet you.
thank you for taking the time to meet with me this evening. So, I just wanted to start by asking you, how are you navigating the digital era?
To be honest, I'm very probably on my phone, but I don't go on the computer a whole lot. I've stayed away from social media myself a bit just because of things that have happened with my own kids with social media and because I work in an independent school and I tend to keep myself fairly private.
So, you said that you work in an independent school. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you see the screens and the digital age that we're in is having an impact on kids these days?
You can definitely see it. I never thought I would have to teach kids how to play. It's something that was a real shock to my system over the years. I'm thinking, okay, you guys gotta put down the gadgets and actually play, like pulling out board games. A lot of the kids have never ever even used board games before in my after school care program. Just even out in the playground, you see a lot of the kids used to have the loner kids, one or two, and you get out on the playground and it's like, okay, guys, go play, get involved with some other kids. In the last maybe 5, 6 years, I've really noticed it. And a lot of kids, a lot more anxiety with the kids that I never seen before. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Why is there so much anxiety? I'm in a grocery store and I see a kid cry and, oh, here's the cell phone. Here's the cell phone.
Mhm.
Kids nowadays, like I find they get themselves worked up in the school setting. They don't know how to self-soothe. They're so used to having something to, entertain them or distract them to soothe them in some sort of way.
Yes.
I notice it a lot now.
And you mentioned that you had your own children in the same school that you're in right now, and over those years, things have evolved so much. So, how do you encourage young people to play?
We spend a lot more time outside than I figure. You're probably inside, you're on screens too much. I've noticed a lot of kids, a lot of overweight children that, never used to see years ago. Maybe you had one or two in the classroom, and I look around some of the classrooms. You guys need to get out and play and get some more physical activity. Other than like, instead of just organized activities, physical activities, they need to get out and actually, let's go play with kids on the street and get out that way. Our street, actually, we're really lucky, is a cul-de-sac. So I actually see a lot of kids out playing. But
Good.
typically, go down different neighborhoods and you don't see a lot of that. My kids are in their 20s. We had the basketball hoop outside the house and they'd be shooting baskets outside and taking the skateboards up and down the street or playing road hockey. And that's something you don't see anymore, like, or
Yeah.
very rarely see it at all, in the neighborhoods. So I've noticed a big impact with the kids, how much, if they got a lot more of the physical activity and got off the gadgets, they're coming into school, they're laying their heads down on the desk. Okay, how much time were you on gaming last night? A lot of them don't know how to shut it off. I see one child in particular at the school every day. It's like, I snuck the iPad. Oh, I snuck this. And I'm like, you've got to shut it off because you can't even focus right now in present activities.
Yes. So, in this in your school, are kids able to have their
No, no,
devices?
since last year, there's actually been a full ban of phones or anything like that. None of them are allowed to have it. I mean, some of them have to watch if mom or dad have to
Yes.
text them for something,
Yep.
but no, you're not allowed a cell phone. If you get caught with a cell phone, it's actually taken from you and has to be picked up at the end of the day. And after so many strikes, you're out. You can't have them. There'll be contact with mom or dad at home that this is not allowed. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's interesting. So what do the kids do with their phones when they arrive at school?
Well, they don't pull them out. You don't see them. You know, they come down to the office and they use the phone down at the office if they have to phone their mom or their dad. So it's pretty old school that way. Last year that was kind of like, no, this has gotta you can't be doing this at all anymore.
And what was that transition like? That must have been a difficult transition to bring kids through.
Well, each of the teachers had a talk with their classes. When my kids were going to the school, it wasn't as much of an issue, and over time, it was becoming more and more of an issue. So the school decided no more cell phones, and I think it was a shock. A lot of kids, when it first happened, started getting their phones removed, and were a little bit shocked by it. So.
Okay, and how did the parents feel?
Well, they wanted to have that instant contact, and they're like,
Yes.
well, get them a watch or something else like that because they're not having their phones. They're not going to be having screen time at school. It's made a big difference. I see our school goes K to 9, or actually we have preschool. You see these kids out there, they're playing on the field, they're running around. The older kids, more and more,
Yeah.
that would have
Yeah.
normally been just sitting on that screen, not even engaging with their classmates.
That's interesting. So you said that there were loner kids. So the kids that sort of were out on the playground feeling like they were alone and because they were on their screen?
So, like a lot of them, they sit in the little breezeways, and we get a lot of rain up where we are, and
Hmm.
we just engage with the phone and not with their classmates.
Yes.
I thought it was a really positive experience that way.
Oh, that's good. So you've noticed since in that last year, you've noticed that more kids are integrating with one another
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
interacting.
Most definitely.
Wow. Wow. That's fantastic.
But the younger kids coming in, you just see they need to be socialized again almost.
So you see the full spectrum. So with the
Oh, yeah.
after school care, you see the younger kids as well.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. How the younger kids have changed throughout the years.
Well, a lot of them will come into, can we use the iPads? Can we do this? Oh, you're not using the iPads. You get enough screen time at home. And I can probably count on one hand how many times in the last 2 years they've actually got on an iPad. The only screen time they have, I let them play DJ with my phone. That's about it. At after school care, you guys want to play, is to have some music going, then we'll do that. But you're not sitting on my phone. You're not using my phone for anything else. They are fine with it. I have no issues with it at all. Usually I take kids up to grade 6 or 7 max and
Yes.
kindergarten. So it's nice. Today they were having a great day. We were playing with the scooters in the gym and they were having a blast. And outside they were engaging out on the playground together. So
That's
I find it really rewarding seeing them play. At the beginning
yeah.
of the year, sometimes when I get the new ones though, they're really hesitant to get in there and join with the other kids.
That's
It's nice to see.
Do you see the difference, Gina, between how boys are adapting to the digital era versus girls, or is it sort of just all the same in terms of their behavior?
I see it a lot more with the boys with the gaming. Some of the girls do game, but I see a lot with the boys gaming. There has been bullying over the years. My son was guilty of it. You got to think before you send that button, like
Hmm.
you really have to think about what you're doing on the computer before your phone or whatever. Like he sent a message to one of the boys and was harassing one of the kids, and
Hmm.
it was actually embarrassing for me because I ended up finding out about it, and he ended up getting a in-school suspension over it. One of the parents had screenshotted it and brought it into our principal, and that's why I'm like, okay, really more aware of stuff. Like a child actually last year came to my attention that things were being sent to him, and I said, okay, this has got to stop. You can't
Hmm.
do that. That's not acceptable. You really have to think. No one can read how your emotions are in your text or things like that. So people can't understand the tone or anything like that. They make different perception on it.
Yes.
So it's like you got to really think, how is that going to read out for you before you send something?
So how are teachers and administrators, how are they more involved or how are they involved now versus let's say when you had your kids years ago enrolled in the same school?
Our principal's right on it. If there's anything like that that comes to her attention, she's very much on it.
Okay,
And
good.
she shuts it down right away.
Good.
Even though it might have happened outside school time, if it's a bullying issue or anything like that, it's zero tolerance. So she's been really good with that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Because there aren't any time boundaries.
No,
That's the
no,
thing.
exactly.
They're still being bullied at home, even
Yeah.
though we don't know about it.
Yeah.
And what do you say to what do you say to the parents? It's one thing what you can do during the day.
Yeah.
What do you say to the parents? Because you spend more time with them probably during the day than
Yeah.
the parents do.
Yeah.
And so, what words of wisdom do you give to the parents?
As an SEA, I don't have a lot of direct contact. Usually that's the
Hmm.
teacher that is involved. If we have an issue, then we talk to our teacher about it. The only ones that I direct contact is the ones that come to my after school care program. I have direct contact with them. If I'm finding some kids are tired and lethargic and can't make it till the end of the day at after school care, I'm okay, what time are they going to bed? Are they sitting on the iPad or gaming or anything like that? Because you can see their different energy levels if they've been up all
Yeah.
night.
Have you seen an evolution as far as their ability to perform overall in school?
I find a lot of them come in and you send homework home and what were you guys doing last night, right?
I
None
see.
of it, because if I'm looking at just different things that I've sent home and were supposed to be signed or things that were extra homework, and I'm like, did you guys actually do this or what did you end up doing? And I mean, a lot of the kids will admit, no, I was gaming or things like that. They're pretty honest. They'll admit to it right away.
So knowing what you know now as a parent, as a great aunt, knowing what you know now, um, what would you encourage parents to do the same, and what would you encourage parents to do differently?
Well, I think they need to lead by example. If you're sitting in your living room and everybody's on your phone, there's no conversation happening or no connection, put it away. Like if we go out for dinner or something like that, put your cell phone away. Talk to
Hmm.
each other. Get to know what's going on in your kid's life, except instead of searching on their Snapchat or their TikTok or whatever they're putting out there. You gotta be on it as a parent and be
Yeah.
involved that way. It's super important. And asking them how they're making out with their friends. Have a play date with your friends, but don't make it a gaming play date with your friends. Get
Yes.
out and make it something physical so they're not sitting on the screens.
Yeah.
And make sure you're setting limits for the kids. Okay, you can have this much time. I know one of the parents is great. She sets a limit, and this is your time frame for the week. If you go over it, there's no more. So it's good that way.
And do you think parents or kids want those limits?
No, I really don't think so. To be
You
honest.
don't think they do? I can
No,
always say,
I really don't. I see the fight with one of my little nephews to take that screen away,
yeah.
and it can be very challenging. But it's like you have to set that boundary. If they can't
Yes.
set it for themselves, so they know I need to get off of it, or maybe I should go to bed and get some downtime that way.
Don't have the ability at that point to be able to reason that.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
as parents setting limits, because I've always thought that kids want boundaries. I mean, they may not verbalize that, but on
Yeah.
some level, they want some sort of boundary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Over some sort of consequence. It's
Do feel for parents these days. I raised four daughters, but only my youngest had access to the digital era for her entire life. But my older two, and one was sort of in the middle, but my older two knew life without it.
yeah.
But it sounds like if your kids are just in their 20s, then they also had the internet for their entire life.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I mean, my son played hockey, and if he was on the road, he had his phone. But the coach was great. He took away the phone and says, "Hey, that's it. Put your phones in the box. You can ride on the bus with them and have your phones and do whatever. But once we get to the hotel, your phones are going away." And he set a limit with them, and you hand it over. And if your parents want to get a hold of me, they call my cell, not your cell. It was good that way. It was really good that way. So
Yes. Well,
yeah,
because it seems to me how it was complex enough raising children. Like, it's such a complex, challenging job. I always think it was my most difficult thing I've ever done. But now it seems to be even more complex.
Oh
with
yeah, like you see it, like some of the kids, there's like with the not being able to self-soothe and the anxiety.
yeah.
I've never seen so much anxiety in kids, and I'm like, okay, is this the technology, the immediate access to everything? And I'm like, is it too much information?
Yes.
That's what I wonder. Is it too much information causing this anxiety? Is it
Hmm.
too much screen time and your brain's not developing the way it should and with all of it out there?
So what do you think it is? What does your gut tell you?
Well, actually, I was talking to one of our teachers, and she said that she's been researching it because she works with a lot of kids that have learning difficulty, and she said it actually affects your frontal cortex of your brain and changes the pathways with too much screen time. And she was going to she was doing some webinars on it and found out a little bit about. I said, well, I'm curious to read what you've found out
Yes.
to get an idea of how you change this. What do you do? What can we do as EAs in the school or teachers in
Yes.
the school to help calm some of this for the kids?
Yeah, it is. It is amazing to watch. It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember raising kids and feeling a little bit like an island and alone, and that's partly why I wanted to do this podcast. But in this day and age, to be it really does more than ever before require a village to raise a child.
Oh, they're coming there. You got to support them as much as you can. You want to be there
Yes.
for them. The kids spend a lot of time with us. You want them to make some sort of connection with us. And if there's things going on or if they're struggling, you want them to be able to verbalize it to you rather than reading it as you watch them. You're hoping, okay, can you come to us? And some of the kids will come up and say, look, I'm having some struggles. I'm having a hard
They
time going to
will.
sleep or okay, you got to put away your screen. Put away the screen for at least an hour before you want to go to bed, right?
And are kids more likely to speak with somebody that is neutral rather than their parents? I guess it's case by case, but
It's definitely case by case. So it's
yeah.
the ones that feel comfortable with me. A lot of the kids come to me in after school care or in the class, some of the classes I work with. So they're probably way more likely to come up to me and talk to me about it. And over the years of being at the school and being around for a while, a lot of the kids are comfortable with me. So
Yes.
they'll come up and chat even if I haven't been with them in a class for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's really good because I do think we're more alone together than we ever have been before.
Yeah, yeah, you feel it. Yeah.
Yes, it's just it's such a challenging time, but we need to get a handle on it
Yeah.
as parents. Seeing this whole evolution, what's one thing that you would say to parents now?
Just make sure you're setting limits for the kids and
Mm,
actually looking at what they're doing on social media. Check what they've done. Research, check all the ins and outs of what they're on and set limits for them. Make
yes.
sure that they're going to get the proper, physical activity and mental breaks from the phone.
And do you find, or have you ever had to deal with kids running into predators online, or
I haven't myself had any of that information given to me that someone was harassing them or anything like that. I had a family member though that it happened to, and
really?
actually two family members, and they sucked a lot of money out of my aunt and my cousin who is a bit mentally challenged. So she got sucked in so badly, and we actually had to take away her. All she could have was her phone, so that she wasn't going online, meeting with this person that she thought he was sending her images of himself, and she had no idea. And so my other cousin actually took away her iPad and their phone and just limited it to, if you're going out and you need to call me or something like that, because she figured that she had this big relationship with this person, yet she had never met
Wow.
him before and sucked her out of money, which was really unfortunate. Yeah.
That's so difficult, and they just know how to prey on the vulnerable.
Oh, they do. They do.
Yeah.
And I see it with seniors as well. There's so much more. Oh, like the famous one, Revenue Canada, you owe blah, blah, blah. Or,
Hmm.
we've got a family member and they're hurt. And so you got to be really make sure this is legit.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for your words of wisdom, and it just seems like you've seen a such a big shift.
Yeah, I
And
have over the years. It's really
yes,
it's sad. You gotta or imagine a play. You don't see them do that a lot. Whereas years ago, the kids were like making up the little stories and things like that, and they, as they're playing, you don't see it as much. You just
yes,
don't.
yeah. And what sort of hope do you have for us being able to, as a society, but in our own little community, to sort of turn back, not turn back time, but just somehow get back to the basics?
Put the phone away, engage with your family, you're having a family dinner, say no electronics at this time. So you
Yeah.
can actually sit there and have dinner and talk with each other.
Yes.
And build those relationships that way. Get off the phone. You don't have to click every moment. Enjoy the moment in the presence instead of just, I'm going to record this on my phone. Well, meanwhile, you're missing out on half of it that's going on around you, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure. So on that note, Gina, I created a board game called Now You're Talking, and what I'd like to do is ask you a few questions from the board game,
Sure, you betcha.
and it's just a quick and fun and easy way to get people talking again.
You bet.
And I've played it with four generations at once, and it's interesting to me that often it's our grandchildren that ask us to play.
Oh,
So
right on.
I
That's
really,
awesome.
yeah, like I really think kids want to be connected. And that's what I'm seeing. And they want to hear stories about their parents and about their parents' childhood. And it's fun to, it's really fun to observe. So I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Let's see. What would you change, Gina, if you could go back to your high school?
What would I change? Oh, I grew up in a really small town. So I probably was hoping that, I would have kept in contact more with a lot of the people that I went to school with over the years. But with me not being on social media, I don't connect that way unless they phone me up and we have a chat.
Okay, so again, going back to the basics.
Yeah. Yeah. Pick up the phone, call me if you want to talk to me.
What shoulds? You should do this, you shouldn't should do that. What shoulds have you been told that are this is a tricky question, Gina, so brace yourself for this one. What shoulds have you been told that are more about the person who said them than they are about you?
Well, my mom always used to give me a lot of shoulds. And
I think
I,
we've
I
all
probably should have listened to a little more of them before she'd passed. I should have written down these things to ask my kids down the road.
yes. I know, I think we've all so many shoulds in our lives. Can you
Well, to be honest, I had a family. My nephew passed away at 11 years old, and it made me really think what was important to me. What should I be doing to make my life more fulfilling? And a lot of the thing is, I taught me don't hold on to things. If you don't go to bed mad, let it go. I
Mhm,
should, and I always have to do this. Not worry about things either. I used
yeah.
to be a worrier, and I remember the doctor said, "Nope, this is not going to work for you. It's like the stress. You don't realize the effects of stress on your body, right? So I have
Yes.
to always keep in mind what he's saying to me. The doctor, my mom was always like, "Okay, you should do this, you should do that," and I realized I should have probably been a little stricter with my kids over time. But I think I overcompensated for growing up in a poorer family, and I want them to have this and that
Yes.
and do all these things. I probably should have chilled out on some of that because I think I probably created a little extra anxiety for my own kids.
Eh, yeah.
So,
It's so challenging being a parent. And I always say, I just hope my kids forgive me for all
yeah.
the mistakes I've made over the years.
Yeah, live and learn, right? I mean, you do the best.
Exactly.
When you know better, you'll do better, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. um, what message have you received from a stranger that had an impact on you?
From a stranger. Well, I actually picked up a homeless man. My husband was not very happy, and I gave him a ride over to get some food. And he was talking about his life and what got him to that point. And it made me realize don't just look at them. You look at people homelessly. You walk by them and you just think, oh, you're a drug addict, you're this. And it made me really think about what brought these people to that point. Was
Yes.
it poverty, or yes, some of it is addiction, but there are many factors that could bring someone to that point, and it made me think a lot more about it, and it was really powerful.
Yes, and what stands out to you about just that there's so much more to people than the stigma.
Just not to walk away. They're people too. Make eye contact with them. You can't just walk by and ignore it. It's not going to change if we keep walking by and ignoring it. There's got to be some more supports for people that are struggling like that. You don't know what brought them to the mental health point where they ended up on the street, or what brought them to poverty so badly. With I'm worrying about it now, even myself. What's going to happen with Trump coming into power?
Yes.
And are we going to go and end up going into what happened in the late 80s and 90s with jobs and things like that? I remember the community I grew up in, both the mills shut down. And it was basically super depressing for the whole community, but it was a one industry town, basically. And so people boarded up their houses and left. And sure, a lot of these people had nowhere to go because they had no jobs, no housing. And so it made me think about what's important and how can I better support my family and people in our community.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's so it is amazing. We meet strangers all the time. And I always think that people are put in our path
No.
for a reason.
Oh, most definitely.
If we're open to listen,
Yeah.
then there's usually a message
Yeah.
there. So that's all. Well, thank you for sharing that.
You bet.
Let me see. What food memory transports you back in time or across the globe?
Oh, what food memory? Oh, my mom's cooking. I so wish I would have had her recipes and paid a little more attention to her in the kitchen. I wish I would have written down her recipes before she passed. I
Oh,
really do.
what was your favorite?
She would used to make these potato pancakes,
Oh, yeah.
and then she'd put salmon in them and fry them up. They were to die for. They were just delish. And I really wish I would have written down some of these recipes if I had known she was going to pass. Yeah.
Oh no, that's too bad. Could you do it intuitively, or you just could you try?
Yeah. And even when I go other places, I usually try. Like a few weeks ago, we were actually in Vancouver, and we went to
Yes.
this Mexican restaurant, and I kept the receipt off the for their bill so I could Google these recipes so I could try make some of them myself. And with my niece, her family's in-laws are Greek, so I'm always trying a lot of different fruit from them. Okay, get a recipe for me.
Well, that sounds good. So you'll pass on your own legacy.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
betcha. You bet.
What are? No, I'll just ask you a couple more questions. What are your two pet peeves?
Oh, my pet peeves. Oh my goodness.
I know we all have them. It seems.
Well, because we walk our dogs, they get walked every day, and I hate it when people. This is a weird one. When they pick up the dog poop and then they throw the bag into the bush. That is such a pet peeve to me. It's like, oh,
That's a
sure,
pet
great,
peeve.
you've cleaned up from your dog. Seriously, that's what you're going to do?
My goodness, that's a
Oh,
pet peeve.
oh, big time. Or being really late. Like when you meet up with a bunch of friends and you give them a time and they're like half an hour to an hour late. That is a major pet peeve. I don't mind a few minutes, but oh, when you're super late like that, that drives me crazy. My mom, that was one of the things with my mom. My father-in-law was like, he was early, like 10, 15 minutes early, and my mom was always late. And so we had to always lie to my mom about what time to show up and lie to my father-in-law so that they would actually end up sort of around the same time.
I know these pet peeves, they come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So they originate from somewhere. I think, oh, that's good. What is your superpower and when did you discover it?
What is my superpower? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm pretty good at making people laugh. I don't always have a filter, so
It's-
the girl the girls always seem to say they're glad when I'm around because I can usually brighten their day with some laughter. So it makes me feel pretty good. Yeah.
oh, well, that's great. What a skill that is. Let me just see one more. When are you most in flow?
When I'm most in flow.
So when you feel like hours feel like minutes, like you just time just goes because you're so in flow with what you're doing.
Probably when I'm out walking and enjoying nature. It just seems to go by fast. Or if I'm gardening, I can spend hours out there picking through the weeds, and it just seems like I was just out there for 10 minutes, and I go inside. I'm like, wow, I was out there for 2 hours.
Oh well, that is true flow. Okay, one more. What life experience changed the course of your life?
Probably having a bunch of family members pass
Mm.
within 10 months. And I was thinking, you know what? Let go of stuff. Let go of stuff. It ain't worth worrying about. If it's I'm like, don't hurt anybody. You want to live it in the moment. Be present for everybody. You have to be present for yourself, even. So that was a real eye opener about what was actually important in my life
Oh boy.
and what actually to value in your life.
Okay, and that's what I always think adversity can shine a light on what's really important
Oh, yeah, most
in
definitely.
life. And it always amazes me how adversity can come in packs. Like it does seem to happen a lot at once from different areas. Let me see. I need a more fun one. Finish if you could do anything, how would you finish that sentence? I would. If I could do anything, I would.
Travel more. Definitely. Travel more. You betcha. Probably not to the States, though. I don't think I'd be going there.
Yeah, yeah. Where would your first destination be?
Well, my niece is sending me some beautiful pictures from Rome. So she's been sending
Fantastic.
me pictures every single day. So definitely I want to
Good.
go to Europe. Definitely want to go to Europe and across
Good.
Canada. I really want to go across Canada and see our own country.
I agree. I think we live in such a jewel of a
Yeah,
country.
most definitely.
Oh well, yeah, thank you for being such a good sport and answering all those questions.
You betcha.
It's always easier to be asking them than to be answering them. This game it talks about different parts of our lives. Times of adversity, times of growth and change, roles and who we are in the world. It encompasses all different aspects of all our lives, but there's certainly overlap.
Betcha.
So, if you were to talk about words of wisdom for parents, what do you think? What do you think that parents need to know over and above what you've already said about putting down screens, or what else can you give parents that will give them hope? What
I
else
just
can you
think that,
say
I
to them?
mean, they just need to think about being more present with their family.
Hmm.
It's super important. Kids grow up so fast.
Yeah.
One of my coworkers is I'm taking some time off. He was just hired on a part-time basis and he's going to put off going on this trip. And I said, you know what? Life's short. Kids grow up so fast. You want to be there. You want to be present because the next minute you turn around and they're grown. They're a teenager and then they're, in their 20s. Like, take that time because it goes by so fast. You just don't realize it until you
Yeah.
get, farther on that they're all grown up. So spend that time with them. Spend that quality time with them.
Yes. Yeah.
Make
That
some
is.
memories. Make lots of
Make
memories.
the memories, make some memories. Yeah, it is amazing when you're in it and you're in the chaos of raising
Yeah.
children. And then all of a sudden it goes by in a blink, but it's hard to imagine that, isn't it? When
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you're in all the chaos.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah,
like, whoa, I think I've overprogrammed ourselves. I don't regret things. I just wish I would have had a little more time. I was always super busy, running my business and then working in the school. But I mean, it was as close to being present with them as much as I could, working in the same environment they were in.
that
It
they
was great. It was great that way. It was great to be present with them as much as I could.
and what business did you run or do you run?
I ran a licensed family daycare for 10 years.
That's right. You
So
said,
yeah, I wanted to be with the kids. We had waited 10 years to have kids, and I wanted to make sure that I was present for them. So I basically took a cut in wages, like it was worth it to be able to be at home with my kids and be present
yes.
for them. So I think it's super important. It's hard for families nowadays. They're all working to get by, and some people are having to work two jobs just to get by. And it's really unfortunate that the cost of living that a lot of the parents who would want to be more present with their families can't be.
Mhm.
But yeah, when I was talking to a coworker, he had the opportunity to go traveling with his parents had given them an RV and handed over. Well, maybe I should stick around. No, get out there and make those memories with your family.
Yeah.
You're never going to forget them, so make them now. Don't
Oh,
wait.
well, don't wait. Yes, I always think the only moment we have is right now.
Yeah,
Really. That's
definitely.
that's that's all we know.
do I hope for young people? I hope that they make connections, not just on their phones, or make real connections with people.
Mhm.
Be present with their friends, with their family, make those connections, build that, build the island. Make sure you're present for other people around you, not just your family, but and your friends. Carve that time out. And I want to make sure that I've done that for my family and my friends, that I've made sure I've carved that time out for them and they can say that I was present for them.
You can't get that back. So much is talked about, as we've talked about anxiety and all the negative things about the internet and all the devices. Is there anything you can share that you think will be some good things that will come out
I
of
think
this?
FaceTime is awesome. There's, especially like when there was COVID and you couldn't go and see some family. And thank goodness for FaceTime, because I think it would have been a real lonely place without it.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think it's super great for families that way. If the kids are gone off to school and I just want to see you, I don't want to just talk to you, I want to see you. I think FaceTime is awesome.
Good. Okay, good. In a way we're able to, yeah, stay connected. Well, thank you very much, Gina. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your insight and how the world has evolved, but that there's still hope. Thank you for joining us for this heartfelt conversation with Gina Vennard. As we've heard today, the digital world may be here to stay, but so is our deep need for connection, play, and presence. Whether it's setting healthy boundaries, sharing a story, or simply sitting down for a screen-free meal, the small moments matter more than we think. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend. Leave us a review and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And remember, you can bring more meaningful conversations into your own home with the Now You're Talking board game. Visit nowyourtalkinggame.com to learn more. Until next time, let the conversations begin.